Well, thanks for being with us here on Morning Live. Now, the City of Johannesburg will today host its first ever Energy Indaba at the Sandton Convention Centre under the theme Reimagining Energy and the policy experts, scholars and potential independent power producers will, alongside government representatives, attend the two-day Indaba. Now, the city says it's hoping to partner with independent power producers and small-scale energy generators to alleviate rolling blackouts. SABC's economics reporter Liabo Setho is on that story for us. Let's cross live to her now to find out what to expect. Liabo, good morning. So it's an interesting one. It's a pivotal one, given what we are currently experiencing by way of rolling blackouts and the projections from the power utility going forward. So what is on the agenda for today?
Good morning, Sakina. Good morning to our viewers at home. It's a critical time that the City of Johannesburg is having this conference today and tomorrow. I can imagine that some of us woke up today with no lights. Other people are probably experiencing load shedding as we speak. And I suppose it's become our daily life. Whether it's stage 2 or stage 4, the point is that at some point in your household you do not have power, and it impacts, on your daily activities. So City Power, of course, now wants to power with independent power producers to help alleviate this issue, particularly in the City of Johannesburg. The Mayor, Mpopalaze, will be doing a keynote speaker, and she's invited a couple of people who will be coming on to speak about certain and different issues that relates to independent power producers. Among those, Sakina, we see that there'll be a presentation about green jobs through waste to energy. I can imagine that would be the role that biogas can play. Biogas is, of course, generated through human waste, and it is turned into energy. There'll also be a session on battery energy storage system, and it will be done by Mr. Justin Ward. There'll also be a couple of sessions, Sakina, also on natural gas as an alternative source of energy. There's been a couple of conversations had about gas, alternative gas sources, and whether those are suitable and whether they can be useful for households. Wherever, it doesn't matter what we use at this point. I can imagine that South Africans want electricity. When you counter in the fact that we've got aging infrastructure, whether it's at Eskom or even at municipal level, it impacts on our ability to have electricity. This obviously has a greater impact on the economy, not only of Johannesburg, but the economy of the country as a whole. Because when power is not there, factories are unable to work. And I said earlier on that I had asked the mayor to join us, but it looks like unfortunately, Sakina is not able to join us. But Mr. Isaac Mangena has joined in her place so that he can give us a much more detailed plan of what the conference is about. Mr. Mangena, thank you so much for joining us on Morning Live this morning. Give us a breakdown of the importance of this conference. It is a critical time. I've been telling my colleagues just now about how important this conference comes at. What are you hoping to achieve after the conference? Is it just a talk shop, or are we expecting tangible results?
Definitely not a talk shop. As you can see currently in the country, we are going through difficult challenges of electricity, and so this conference is basically part of the City of Johannesburg to try and ensure that we find solutions to deal with the challenges that we are facing. We are basically undergoing load shedding almost daily, and that is not really sustainable if we want to attract investment in the City of Johannesburg, but also even for our residents. It has been an inconvenience for them. So as the city, we have been actually working behind closed doors to ensure that we come up with solutions for this problem. So this conference is basically one of those launch pads where we are basically trying to find the solutions in terms of the mixed energy that will assist or complement what we are already getting from Eskom. So the 2 days we have invited independent power producers, we have invited speakers, scholars, us, and even engineers who are not part of City Power, who are outside, who will come basically to assist us with those solutions before we can actually go out into the market to ensure that we procure some of those solutions.
Right. What is the latest with regards to the Kelvin Power Station and your agreement that you had with them? It brought a lot of hope that it would reduce the number of days that those who get power from City Power would have reduced load shedding. What's the latest with that?
Kelvin Power Station is a very important partner of City Power. It's an independent power producer that we signed a deal with last year. It was actually a renewal of the deal that we had with them for some time. So now we actually extended it with the next 2 to 3 years, so that we are able to, because of the problems that we are currently going through. So we're getting 90% of our electricity from Eskom, and then 10%, or at least 9% of that comes from Kelvin Power Station. So they remain part of the important part of the City of Johannesburg in terms of electricity supply. And with regard to the deal that we put on the table with them last year, yes, the idea was that it will basically assist us in terms of cushioning the residents of the City of Johannesburg from load shedding, and in fact it is already doing that. However, we have realized that Eskom is actually using what we are getting from Kelvin Power Station as part of the base load to assist in terms of their demand within Eskom. So if we were to basically reduce the stages, use Kelvin to basically reduce or at least exclude the City of Johannesburg from stage 1 or stage 2, it means that Eskom will basically suffer. So we are actually assisting Eskom with Kelvin Power for their base load to ensure that they keep the lights on.
Yeah. One energy analyst speaks about the viability of installing solar power systems across Gauteng, and how this would also help your books as City Power with the loss, the revenue loss that you're seeing of just under 300 million rand. Do you think this is viable? Is this something that can be easily procured and done at a speed that we need, seeing that we are in an emergency situation?
The solutions that we are looking at should really be reliable and cheap for our residents. Remember, we still have most of our residents within the City of Johannesburg who are poor, who are not employed, who have been battered by COVID-19, they've lost jobs and so forth. So the solutions that we are looking for here are supposed to basically ensure that they are reliable, people have got lights all the time, they can cook, they can warm their homes, and also it is cheap, it can be accessible for everyone. So part of the solutions that we're looking for, in fact, we're looking for about 500 megawatts extra capacity that we want to put into our grid. So part of that includes the solar panels that you spoke about. It also includes gas because of it's cheap, and it's also if used properly, it's also safe. We're also looking at battery storage system that we can also have in this kind of situations where we are going through stage 4, stage 2 load shedding. We can actually tap into that and ensure that we provide the residents. So the solar panels are also part of that. We have already identified the sites that we are thinking of actually building some of those massive solar farms. Avalon Cemetery is one of those, and other areas. And we're also using looking at waste to energy, because there's a lot of waste that that is collected almost daily, about 1.4 million tons that are collected almost monthly or even annually, that we want to use. In fact, part of what we're getting into our grid currently, about 3% of it comes from waste to energy. We've got 2 farms already, 2 sites already that we are using for those purposes. So we are basically trying to ensure that waste doesn't go to waste. We are recycling it and then make sure that we take the methane gas that comes out of it and then we put it back into the grid. So we've got several solutions that we're working on, and like I said earlier, we have been working behind closed doors for the past few years to ensure that we work on some of the solutions and we innovate. Otherwise, we'll end up without electricity or power across the City of Johannesburg.
Mr. Mangena, thank you so much. We're looking forward to seeing the deliberations over the next 2 days to see what kind of fruits they yield. Sakina, that's Mr. Isaac Mangena. He's with the City of Joburg in the media division, and he's given us a total breakdown of what to expect, talking about the kind of renewable energy sources they're looking at, hopefully that will alleviate, and hopefully other municipalities also can follow suit, so that we're seeing a lot less pressure put on businesses, put on households, because it is really a crisis. Sakina.
Interesting one, Liabo, and of course we'll listen in, hope for catching up with you again later on in the show. This especially because if you look at the economic hub of South Africa, the question you pose about the Calvin Power Station that used to belong to the City of Johannesburg was sold, and now where is that capacity going to come from in the main? So all of those questions we hope will be answered, Liabo, when we cross to you again later. And that was our reporter Liabo Setho speaking to us here from the Johannesburg Energy Indaba in Sandton, and we'll catch up with her later on.